Hello everyone, Baker on the Dark Side. Today we're going to make my twist on an oatmeal cookie that I used to make in my bakery days. So I did a little prep work ahead of time. I put half a cup of butter and half a cup of shortening in the mixer, and I beat it really smooth. You want that butter to be at room temperature. One of the reasons why we use shortening is for preservatives. So it helps us keep the cookies longer, and it kind of gives it a more chewy consistency. And it's cheaper. That was the other reason than butter, which is still probably the case. I don't know, maybe not though, not these days, right? All right, so I have whipped this and I have scraped it with the shortenings. So then the next thing that I'm gonna put in here is 3/4 of a cup of white sugar and 3/4 of a cup of light brown sugar, not dark, light. The dark will give it a little bit of a different consistency. So I do half and half. If you want your cookie to be really dark and you want that really chewy consistency, then you could do brown sugar. I like to do half and half. I like it to be a little more lighter. I still like the chewiness, but I like it a little lighter. So I am whipping this up, and you can make this anytime. You know, it's a very quick recipe. This is going to make 18 extra large cookies, 24 large cookies, 36 medium cookies, and 48 small cookies, depending on the size of your scoop. I am going to use my large scoop today to make the large cookies. I thought it'd be fun to make an oatmeal cookie today because it's been really cold today for us, so still not terrible for this time of year. All right, so I'm gonna scrape that. I'm gonna scrape it down. What do I always say? You gotta scrape it, right? And you want it to scrape, but I want you to see, you know, this is how light and fluffy it is, okay? So you want it to be nice and fluffy. You want that air in there. It really does help with the texture of the cookie. And you want to just make sure that you scrape it really good. So then my next thing that I'm going to do, as you guys always know, I like to put my spices in at this stage. So I'm going to put 1 teaspoon baking soda. I'm putting just a little bit of cinnamon. If I was gonna do a raisin in this, which I'm not today, I'd put more cinnamon, like a teaspoon, but this is just 1/8, just to give it a little bit of spice. Half a teaspoon of light salt, as you know. And of course, my absolute favorite, as you guys know now, is my pralines and cream extract. 1 teaspoon, I'm putting that in now. I will tell you that you can use vanilla, of course you can. But I'm addicted to the pralines and cream. All right, so I'm gonna mix that up. And there's really not much to this recipe. With the oats, just so you know, you can use a quick oat or an old-fashioned oat. The difference between an old-fashioned oat and a quick oat is that it has been cut more. So a quick oat is smaller oat. But honestly, it won't make any difference in your cookie if you use the old-fashioned mold or the quick. All right, so now we've got that in there. And I always like to do that last whip. All right, so we're going to scrape this again. Scraping it, always important. It's extremely important for cookies. You ever have a cookie where, you know, like, it spread on like a part of the cookie and the other part was right? That means you didn't mix it good enough. The shortening wasn't mixed in, the sugar wasn't mixed in, the flour wasn't mixed in. So when you get cookies that look funny like that, that's usually what that means. You didn't mix them. Okay, so now the eggs, 2 eggs. Just dumping them in, just going for it. There we go. You just want to get it mixed in there. Cookies are delicate, not this kind of cookie. So it doesn't matter if you mix it a little higher or a little lower. This type of cookie is pretty sturdy. That's when you get into those delicate cookies, like butter cookies and madeleines, that you want to be careful. All right, so it's looking really good. I'll scrape it again. I scrape a lot, and I can't tell you enough how important it is to do the scraping. A lot of people try to skip that step, but you just can't. Sorry you can't see my great scraping abilities. All right, so there's that. Okay, next is going to be the flour. So I use 1 cup of all-purpose flour. And I use half a cup of bread flour. This is gonna help me get more gluten, get it chewy, make it denser. So that's why I put that in. And then it's 3 cups of my oats. So we're gonna put those in. And then we're gonna start. And then this is really gonna change consistency now because we have put a lot of bulk into this cookie. The flour, the bread flour, the oatmeal. So these are really going to be sturdy. Now, what I like to do in a cookie like this is I like to stop it halfway through before it gets totally mixed in and scrape it again, because this is the biggest mistake when it comes to these kinds of cookies because they're so chunky. They do form in one dough, but you want to make sure before it forms into that one dough that you have put this together and scraped it and gotten the butter off the paddle so that it will incorporate correctly. It's going to be a lot harder to scrape it if you let it go all the way and mix. It's much easier to scrape it when it's this heavy with halfway mark, because it is very sturdy even halfway. All right, I got that in. So now, before I let it mix the rest of the way, I put my mix-ins. So you can use 2 cups to 3 cups of any mix-ins you want. The one thing I like to do is have toasted walnuts in my cookies. You don't have to, that's just me. I like toasted walnuts. So I toasted these, I cooled them, and I chopped them. This is a cup. And then, what's kind of fun on my spin here is I'm not really big on raisins. I like dates sometimes, and I will do date cookies for this, but I usually am not a big raisin cookie person. So this recipe has a half a cup of white chocolate chips, butterscotch chips, and peanut butter chips. This is my take on the oatmeal cookie. You can use pretzels. You can use coconut. I didn't want to use anything polarizing. I mean, some people might think white chocolate is polarizing. You got the ones that love it and ones that hate it, but we'll see. Okay. And then I mix it the rest of the way until it forms together as a dough. And the reason I put the mix-ins halfway through is for the same reason that I stopped it to scrape it, is because I want the mix-ins to get in there and incorporate through the whole dough. And you can hear it, right? You can hear how it is working. This poor baby, he's working real hard to get this dough mixed. And it's getting thicker and harder to do that. So there we go. It is completely one dough now. You don't have to do any more scraping. You'll be happy to know. And I'm just going to get this paddle out of here so that you can see it. And we are going to scoop them out. I just want to do that. So I want you to see the dough. So that's what it looks like. That's what it should look like. It smells amazing, by the way. All right. So now we're going to scrape. Or scoop. Not scrape, scoop. See, I'm already on the scraping. Okay, we're going to scoop these things. So you get your big scoop if you want to make the big ones, and you scoop it. And you can make them bigger. You can make them as big as you want. Okay, and then you're gonna put them on here. This is the big trick with rounding your cookies. Get an ice cream scoop of all different sizes, and that's the best way, easiest way to make your cookies. So I've scooped the cookie, and I'm gonna scoop the rest of them out, but I wanted to show you, so that's what it looks like. You just wanna pat it down just a little, not a lot. Now in the bakery, we used to actually brush these with egg white. The reason being to make them a little bit golden. I'm not gonna do this for myself, but you can do that as well. So when I get done baking these at 350 degrees, I will let you see what they look like. Hi everyone. So baker on the dark side, and my oatmeal cookies are finished. Look at those babies. Oh, they smell like I'm in the bakery. So good. So they came out very good. These, there they are. You can see in their full glory. The bottoms, yes. And so I'm gonna break it open. Oh, look at that. Mmm. 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 So good. I haven't made these in a very long time. But it brings me back. So go ahead, try the recipe. Hope you liked it. Very yummy. And subscribe if you want to see more baking or non-baking. I know I'm supposed to be on the dark side. Not today.